literally everything. I'm just like, is she gonna be okay? I'm like, she's a fucking cat. When I was a kid, we had cats. They like went outside all day.
I know.
And I was fine with that.
Yeah, a couple didn't come back.
Yeah, a couple didn't come back.
My dad would be like, maybe the combine got them. I'm like, why would you say that to me? Like, that would be the worst thing that could happen to your cat.
Or they'd be like, maybe they got killed by a raccoon. And you're like, that's not comforting.
Like, what the fuck? Why don't you lie to me and say they left and joined a cabal?
It's the podcast that Scheming Serpent warned you about.
Welcome to Biting All the Apples, where two gals discuss one radical book.
The best-selling critical and comedic masterpiece from 1895, The Women's Bible by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and friends. I'm Sarah Kay.
And I'm Joanna V.
And hello, beautiful listeners. We are so glad to have you here with us today for some more modern takes on the Victorian feminists' scorching hot takes on the Bible.
Sizzling.
It's so scorching.
It is.
We wrapped up analysis on the Old Testament last week, and now we're smack dab in the in-between, limbo, the bardo, the liminal space between the Old and New Testaments.
Ooh.
Yeah, here we are.
Just dancing in the occult.
And it's right where Stanton places a special commentary section on the Kabbalah.
Kabbalah.
An esoteric pause, if you will, to highlight this Jewish mystical tradition that explores the nature of God, the universe, and humanity's place within it.
Yeah.
That's not a big order or anything.
It's just giant.
Just a real small topic tonight.
just the biggest one.
It likely won't surprise you to hear that the Kabbalah allows for a much more interesting exploration of the role of women.
Mm-hmm.
The commentary on the Kabbalah is written by the American suffragist and writer Frances Ellen Burr.
FEB. We talked about her last week a little bit, just because I wanted to know her initials.
Feb. The first line in her commentary, makes the claim that the Bible is an occult book. And if that doesn't pique your interest, you might be listening to the wrong podcast.
That's right. I was like, whoa, that's right up my alley.
Bold statement. We'll get into all of it. Burr's commentary, all of our rabbit holes, and do a quick check-in to see how the term occult has changed meaning and usage over the years. Right after, we remind y'all of our friendly disclaimers.
Gotta have the disclaimers. Biting All the Apples covers analysis of religious texts. Some listeners that are religious out of the need for the illusion of certainty may find the content offensive. Biting All the Apples also discusses historic texts and feminist movements. We recognize that individuals, groups, and alternative movements have been left out of the mainstream history. We will note that whenever possible, we are open to additional information provided to us in the spirit of expanding knowledge.
And as we're doing occult
stuff, all
stuff,
around us. I know.
We're summoning the spirits.
Bring them in.
Of knowledge.
Bring them in. I love spirits.
Pulling it from the air.
I feel
Pulling it from the air.
Getting all that. But yeah.
Did you all notice that I tried very hard to say Kabbalah?
Yes. And it was not how I would have said it.
So that's what I learned when we together.
Yes.
Looking into my stuff. I saw some video, some guy from the Great Courses.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, actually, it's Kabbalah.
Kabbalah.
But the Americanized version is Kabbalah.
Kabbalah, yep.
I think you can,
people say Kabbalah. Yeah, they were switching back and forth. People use whatever, but Kabbalah is the
actual thing. But it's rabbi approved either way.
If you say it the other way.
So for the purposes of this episode, we can interchange.
Yeah.
So I won't have to pause every time where I'm like, I'm about to say it correctly. Yeah,
because people know it either
Kabbalah.
way. Yeah. Yes.
So we're getting right into the occult.
I know. Which, we both love kind of that. That's why we're here.
That's like what we love.
That's why we're here. Yeah. No, I read it and then I was like, ooh, I need to know more. Because I don't know if I ever thought about the Kabbalah. Have you? I mean, I just never have.
But in the way that most people that lived through the early 2000s from Ashton Kutcher and Madonna. You remember? Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, you probably were like living.
I don't know.
And I saw, but for a while
do?
she was like really. Madonna was really into it, and like Ashton Kutcher was seen like wearing all white. You know, in like People magazine, they're like it's a trend in Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a Kabbalah center in Los Angeles that started.
Oh.
Which at the time I was like, okay, you know, rich people doing their thing. When I was learning more about it through reading the commentary, and then some of the podcasts and listening to some lectures, I was like, oh, that is so tacky. They're like,
I want to get into that.
But this is why it.
It is super interesting.
It's crazy interesting.
I actually really liked what I learned about it.
Same. It also shows that it's something that's like open to total interpretation, because when I was looking into it, there were some podcasts that were like using the Kabbalah to increase wealth, you know, and just and like and for using it for real estate, and you're like, okay, it's apparently a free for all, because it isn't actually a religion. It's a way of explaining the different phases and components of the life that we can see and what is unseen.
Right. I like to think of it as kind of like your mind, and so it goes in layers. The Kabbalah, it's like a tree of life. So there's, you know, you can have nothingness, then a little bit of something, then an idea, and then the idea builds. And honestly, isn't that actually what we're doing? Like,
exactly.
And I was like, this makes sense to me.
Yes.
And it was written in like only 200 BC, like only 200 years before Christ.
Exactly. The other explanation that I really liked was this one rabbi was on there talking about it. And it was a video titled, like, do you have to be 40 years old to listen? To read the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
And, but they explained it as it is, think of it like how there's dark matter in the universe. So the Kabbalah is the dark matter of religion.
Oh.
You know, it's the things that are unseen.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still a huge force. So it is possible. That's the
so
thing
like
that's hard to get past.
It.
Yeah, it's the thing that's hard to connect, because you're like, it's not like if people follow, you know, the Kabbalah, they aren't Christian or they aren't Jewish. It can be a supplementary way of still practicing those religions.
I would love to see how it's written, though. So I've read about it, but like I would love to see how it reads. You know, like the Bible can be read literary.
Well, it has to be read in Hebrew, I believe.
Yeah, which is a whole thing. I learned about the Hebrew. Well, from what I heard, that won't be easy. Hebrew is very difficult. They said it's close to a chemical language. Yeah. So, and all the letters correspond to numbers. Yes. And so you can add things up. It's interesting.
It is very interesting.
Fascinating.
And of course, this podcast is to talk about the responses in the Women's Bible, but we couldn't help but go check all this stuff out. I was even stuck at her first sentence, which says, the Bible is an occult book and a remarkable one. Mm-hmm. When I say first, I'm talking about our gal, Frances.
F-E-B. Did you
I
learn
say
anything?
Frances?
Did you learn anything
about her? But that's okay. So before that, so occult. Okay, so Frances,
she's the only
Ellen
one
Burr,
that talks.
This is her entire. She's the only one that writes this whole commentary on the Kabbalah. And when I first saw that word occult, it reminded me. I'm like, it's so funny being raised, especially like coming of age in the 90s. Mm-hmm. You know, with like Satanic Panic.
Oh, yeah.
And all that.
And Ozzy just died. Oh, my God.
Rest in peace. Rest in rock.
Rest in rock.
When I hear occult, I just immediately go to like
devil
the negative and
devil.
Not, and even though I know it's not, but just your initial feeling of it. And I'm like, I wonder like what that meant back then.
Oh,
and because
did you look it up?
Yeah, of course I did.
Love
I'm going to slam around here. But it means the same. I'm like, let me just check my files.
Hey, you got all those notes.
I know. I mean,
I want to know. Is it changed?
The original use of it was to study things that were unseen, or the spiritual realm, things that are unseen, which by itself, saying occult, there's not like negative connotations to that. It's just more like,
you can't
that's
see
what
this.
It is. Like an occultist is somebody that is interested in the spiritual world
and
the unseen.
Ooh.
And some of the stuff that I found, some of the stuff I found online is that there was a change like in the 90s for different uses of it.
1890s, 1990s.
As soon as I said 90s,
I was like, girl,
you better specify. in the 90s,
Oh.
but it has changed over time and what people associate with it, negative connotations
Hi,
and stuff.
Cindy.
Cindy, the producer cat, is here.
She might have felt some spirits.
Yeah, she was like, we talking about the occult?
Bring me in, sister. Bring me in.
She's like, bring me in. So, occultism, hidden or supernatural knowledge and powers. Occultism in the 1800s really emphasized esoteric knowledge. And remember, in the late 1800s, there was all that spiritualism. And in the spiritualism part of that was meant, that's where they had all the seances and were meant to communicate with spirits.
Yeah.
So occultism is the umbrella. Spiritualism is just like a section of that.
So basically,
as it pertains to Victorian times.
The unseen.
Yes, the unseen.
Okay.
But occult is from the Latin word occultus, and it means clandestine, hidden, secret, knowledge of the hidden. So that's what occult means.
And that's, so the people that could read this, that's why they say it's esoteric language. Only certain people can read it and interpret it, which I find, anything like that, I'm like, why would only certain people be able to read it?
Because that means that you can always have somebody in power.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The person with the knowledge
I'm
has
really
the
ready for the
power.
kumbaya part.
I know.
What happened to kumbaya?
I know. But by that definition, Frances, she's right. The Bible is an occult book.
Yeah.
It's just, that seems shocking to say now, but it's true.
But actually, the more I think about it, so Moses on the mountain obviously was doing all sorts of magic stuff, fire, all this stuff. He got the tablets of the 10 Commandments. This he also got, but nothing written down. It was all oral.
Right. That's the part that's fascinating.
Right. And who told him?
Who told him?
Was it
Joanna's making a hand motion from the sky.
Was it?
To her temple.
Yes.
From the sky to her temple.
Where did it come? The universe. So, it was handed down just orally. There was nothing written. So why were the rules written and why was the Kabbalah not written?
And this is where we're starting to see the division between, religion, which is more like controlled, like rules and ways to live, and then spirituality. So,
well, I really think the Kabbalah is the way to go after learning. I'm like, we should all just start doing the Kabbalah.
I know.
I mean, it made sense to me. It even talked about the angels being part of you. We are it, and this planet we're on is the chosen place.
In this part of the tree.
Yeah.
I'll try to put a picture, I will
put a
link
picture of
to the tree that they show for the
because it builds, it's layers of spirituality, I guess, from the unknown to the known.
The fact that it's set up in a tree reminded me, look, and we're not even getting to the women's Bible thing yet, but it reminded me of, are you familiar with the Norse mythology? Nordic?
I mean, a little bit. I'm not.
That whole thing is based on a tree.
Oh.
The tree of, it's like a tree of life. I'm bad at pronouncing. This stuff is Yggdrasil. I'm not saying it. It's YGG. Yggdrasil. No,
well, if it's Hebrew, you're not going to be able to. Because...
Well, this is Nordic. This is Norse.
Oy.
This is like Norse mythology. So,
okay.
But isn't that crazy that like Norse mythology involves like a huge tree and an eagle, and then there is a squirrel, a magical squirrel that runs between the levels of the tree. And the levels of this tree in Norse mythology is about the different layers of perception and spirituality and life on the planet. And I'm like, that's kind of it all. There's so many repeat stories or repeating narrative motifs.
Yes, I love that.
And just like you had mentioned with the tarot.
Yeah, the tarot.
The tarot.
I didn't realize the symbols on tarot cards correspond to the Kabbalah.
Correspond with that. Yeah.
Like the knives.
The knives and all the wands.
Yeah, so there's
pentacles.
10 of each card. Is that what they said? Mm-hmm. And each of the cards does correspond to the...
See, that when I heard that, I'm like, I need to double check that. But I've always loved tarot for that reason because it ties into so many different religious traditions that it just shows you that all religions have a birth, sin, redemption, and rebirth story. And that's the major arcana of the tarot. That's what if you walk through it, you start with the Fool and
Now you've studied that because you do that. You do. So how long have you been?
Oh my gosh, I had a tarot, my first tarot deck, I think I had it like 19.
Okay.
And now that I'm 25. No, for a good long while.
Yeah.
And I liked it for, I like the woo-woo stuff a bit, but even more for that like storytelling. And then also, oh gosh, I'm losing my words. What is it? Almost like narrative therapy. There's just so many repeat stories that people need to hear and retell to like comfort
I love
themselves.
That. Yeah.
And to explain our existence.
And I'm telling you, we do need a lot of comfort. I've learned that.
Yeah. It's very much the other thing I was thinking of you when you brought the tarot, and the tarot, again, the major arcana, is the hero's journey.
Oh!
It like absolutely is. If you go
follows,
through it,
okay.
it follows that,
Joseph Campbell.
I know. It all goes together. That's the background
Of the Kabbalah.
that we know.
My favorite thing about this whole section was that men and women in the Kabbalah, not a thing. It's more non-binary, right? That's the
part that's in the Women's Bible for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. And, we talked about that in Genesis way back in our first, second episode. This really comes into men and women are one, equal, and that really humans...
Everybody's both.
Everybody's both. Everybody has both qualities.
Yes. In fact, I'm sure we have highlighted a lot. So now we're actually to the part in the Women's Bible
Yeah.
that Frances, and I told you, I looked her up. She's from Connecticut. She started the first Women's Suffrage Association in Connecticut. She was also one of the few, especially of the Women's Bible contributors, that actually lived long enough to see women's suffrage
Oh,
happen.
thank goodness some of them did.
And she was a writer and organizer. It says here, writer, speaker, reporter, stenographer, journalist, activist. Frances Ellen Burr has done more to popularize. I'm having a hard time talking.
Popularize. That's a hard word, though.
Okay.
I
It's 'cause
want to
I'm
be
talking
popular.
Did you know that neurodivergent people often slur their words?
Because they talk so dang fast.
That's why I'm like, I need to slow down. We're not in a race.
Yeah.
But I am excited to tell you this, and then we can get to talking about another time. So Frances Ellen Burr has done more to popularize the question of women's suffrage than anyone else in the state of Connecticut. Isn't that awesome? It's just totally cool.
You know what I'm interested in with all these ladies? I know I've mentioned this before, but I would love to hear from their ancestors. Like, what did the women in their families aspire? Where did they end up? Can we do that
And do any of you out there know
any ancestors?
Does anybody know anything? So, yeah, Frances, she's awesome. We hadn't seen any of her writing before this.
No, and must be her jam.
I did. Well, and that's what I was trying to find out. I'm like, why is this her jam? Couldn't find anything specific. So if anybody knows, let me know. I'll continue
is this
to
her
look.
thing?
Yeah, but also that was just the tradition. I'm sure a lot of these women's rights activists were into, taking down the Bible. Not taking down the Bible. This is the other term that I learned, is there was a trend in this type of criticism, which was called specifically higher criticism.
Higher criticism.
Have you heard this? Where it's actually like that was the methodology when they went back to look at the Bible. So in the 19th century, it was more like they were looking at it historically and through the eyes of how it was written at that time, instead of just like whatever, it was God wrote it.
So there must have been a split there in the religions,
Yes.
because like I told you, the Episcopal people seem to be right on the same track as these ladies. Like they went, their allegory, their stories, there's lessons, but if you're getting anything besides, like, we need to help the poor and then you're not following anything in any version.
You're not.
Yeah.
And
it's more and more, I see more and more of these Episcopalians coming out and just saying, no, please stop. And even Catholics are coming out and speaking out.
Yeah. With the help from the new Pope, who is, a woke Marxist Pope, as woke as you can be for a religion that doesn't allow women in leadership. But, anyways.
But these ladies, they were in the forefront. Out of all the women in the United States, these women were well known. They were going to the Capitol. They were speaking out. They were saying, we know that religion is in our laws. We know that. And that's fine. But at least get it right and see that women have been equal since the beginning.
Right.
There's never been a thing that said men were above us or that we need to obey men. That's never been a thing. And the Kabbalah just takes it a next step, I think.
Yes, and okay, so let's get into this, even though we're in it. But I have so many things, underlined here.
It was great. It was fascinating. But like I said, I had never.
So it's the Elohim is both the masculine and feminine, and that is the deity.
Mm-hmm.
The word Elohim is plural formed from the feminine singular al, Elo, by adding I-am to the word. In the Kabbalah, we find that the Ancient of Days conforms himself simultaneously into the father and the mother, and thus begets the son. Now this mother is Elohim.
Mm-hmm. The
writer then goes on to show that the Holy Spirit, usually represented as masculine, is in fact feminine. See?
Yeah.
So,
well, the Sephiria is one of the links of the tree, correct? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of the...
There's a Sephiroth, the 10... Yeah, all these are the 10 Kabbalistical attributes of God.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you got that. I know. There's so many... And she's quoting Mr. Mathers. McGregor Mathers.
He wrote the book. I like his preface. In his preface of his book that went over the Kabbalah, he said, I wish particularly to direct the reader's attention to the stress laid by the Kabbalah on the feminine aspects of the deity and to the shameful way in which any allusion to these has been suppressed in the ordinary translations of the Bible. Also to the Kabbalistical equality of male and female. Equality.
I know. And he says, suppressed in the ordinary translations.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is what Francis specifically focuses a lot on this point.
Yeah.
That there isn't a separation and there's not a hierarchy of, who's the most godlike and who should be in charge. It's like everybody is both.
Yeah, and it's time you wake up, folks.
Wake up, party
Wake
people.
up to the Kabbalah.
So, and it says, this section is sufficient condemnation of all those who wish to make out that women is inferior to man. The Kabbalah also speaks of the separation of the sexes as the cause of evil. Mm-hmm. Or, as the author puts it in a note, where there is unbalanced force, there is the origin of evil.
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah. Yeah. Men are trying to take over again, and you can't do it. You can't. It's just not, it's not okay. It's against the whole universe.
Yeah.
It's against everything that makes us human. Is meaning we are one, we are equal, no one bows to another.
I'm like, it's Shokma, the father, Bina, the mother, and therein are the Shokma and Bina. So it's wisdom and understanding counterbalanced together in the most perfect equality of male and female, and therefore are all things established in the equality of male and female. If it were not so, how could they subsist?
How?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Believe that. And she's talking, and this is why I'm spaced out for a second, because I believe she's still talking about McGregor Mathers.
Yeah, he wrote, he did a translation of the Kabbalah.
Oh, there you go.
The most recent one.
Or most recent.
Then, in the 18.
Yeah, like most recent.
Okay.
130 years old. Yeah. And did you see in here, so she's talking about, and I do believe she's still talking about the Mathers work, so... and hence that which is not both male and female together is called a half a body. Now, no blessing can rest upon a mutilated and defective being, but only upon a perfect place and upon a perfect being, and not at all an incomplete being. And a semi-complete being cannot live forever, neither can it receive a blessing forever. That's not as hot as this other. I'm like, I might have to delete that out. But the following is the author's comment on the above. This section is another all-sufficient proof of the teachings maintained throughout the Kabbalah. Throughout the Kabbalah. Namely, that man and woman are from the creation co-equal and coexistent, perfectly equal, one with the other. This fact the translators of the Bible have been at great pains to conceal by carefully suppressing every reference to the feminine portion of the deity and by constantly translating feminine nouns by masculine. And this is the work of so-called religious men?
How dare they?
I mean, really?
Yeah, how dare they?
We could have just read that paragraph. That's actually all I wanted to say about the Kabbalah.
Yeah, exactly. How dare they? Look at it. How dare they?
And that is not, and by the way, that is not Francis's quote. That is from the
Authors.
gentleman Mathers.
Yeah, that's his comment.
Says that, where he's like, he's stating that translators carefully suppressed every reference to the feminine portion of the deity.
Yeah.
Constantly translating feminine nouns by masculine.
And it makes me so mad because we're still dealing with it because of a terrible translation.
Right. Well, also, I mean, it was
an evil.
It was a
because it was
a power translation or a concerted effort to use spirituality as a way to.
I just don't know why they turned on us. Why?
Back in biblical times, they could just grab and enslave them. In current times, that's not so accepted, although we're going back towards that. But that's not so accepted, so there's other ways to enslave, and that is by changing how women think of themselves in the social order, how they're able, to participate in the economy.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep.
And how childbirth and childcare is treated here. There's a reason that nobody ever steps up to give like free childcare or to like a year off.
Yeah.
To take care of if you have kids and stuff. So
they just want you filled with lots of guilt if you do. Yeah, it is weird. But these ladies knew it. She talks about the rib story.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're getting back. I'm like getting back
into the Kabbalah. They call this the throbbing heart of the Jewish religion. But the rib story from the Old Testament is veiled in the mystic language of symbolism. According to occult teachings, there was a time before man was differentiated into sexes. That is when he was androgynous. Then the time came millions of years ago when the differentiation into sexes took place. And that is what the rib story refers. Mm-hmm. There has been much ignorance and confusion in regard to the real nature of woman, indicating that she is possessed of a mystic nature and a power which will gradually be developed and better understood as the world becomes more enlightened. Woman has been branded as the author of evil in the world. And at the same time, she's been exalted to the position of mother or of the savior of the world. Mm-hmm. These two positions are as conflicting as the general ideas which have prevailed in regard to women, the great enigma of the world.
And that is so true.
We're an enigma.
It is an enigma because at the same, we're the ones that brought all the sin and the evil. And they're like, also they have all the babies. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
And you brought Jesus into the world, like later.
I know.
Like, how can that be? How can we bring the evil? And it doesn't make sense. And the Kabbalah says, yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense because you're one. You are androgynous. Correct?
I had this whole thing underlined from this Reverend D.D. It says, theological odium has laid its hand heavily upon her. And odium is evil or like
general widespread hate.
Yeah, thank you, not evil. Yeah, general widespread hate.
Which, yeah, we are still focusing on that.
This odium is a thing with more horns, more thorns, more quills, and more snarls than almost any other sort of thing you have ever heard of. It has kindled as many fires of martyrdom. It has slip-noosed as many ropes for the necks of well-meaning men. It has built as many racks for the dislocation of human bones. It has forged as many thumb screws. It has built as many dungeons. It has ostracized as many scholars and philosophers. It has set itself against light and pushed as hard to make the earth revolve the other way on its axis as any other force of mischief of whatever name or kind. And he is talking about that specifically, putting women as like an enigma by obfuscating the feminine deity.
Yeah.
So when I read that, I was like, so again, this is over like 130 years ago. They were like, this.
Yeah.
That's how bad.
And that was
that's
a
how
reverend.
Serious this overlooking this contrivance,
it's
this
not
omission
yeah.
of the feminine divine or the feminine, the deity.
Yeah.
They're like, that's nothing is as bad as that.
Nothing. But yeah, this is where I got sad though, because she was like, well, hopefully, in the future, since we're talking about this, since a reverend is saying these things, we're going to progress. And she says here, and it is the fearful thing which with women has to contend. When she is free from it, we may be assured that the dawn of a new day is not far off. 1895, it's 2025.
I thought that same thing.
And we're so far off, right? It made me super sad. I feel like the slingshot is getting super duper pulled back, and that not everybody is as concerned as they should be.
But we're hoping to make people very concerned.
I want you to be concerned.
You need to be very concerned. So we have Francis talking about, like, hopefully it'll be, better in the future. And we've seen that before, right? In other responses throughout the Old Testament in the Women's Bible. And it made me curious. And I think we've asked this before, like, well, what happened? There was this trend for a while in the 19th century, people chopping up Bibles, looking at it, using this structure of higher criticism.
Higher criticism.
So I was like, well, then what happened? We've asked that before. And what I've found so far is there was a period of this higher criticism where they were trying to, apply this very Victorian, like, scientific knowledge, Darwin, all these new ideas. And that was followed by people that went and they're like, well, we're going to go find hard proof. It was like this archaeological period where they were like, said they found things that disproved these higher criticism theories where they're like, so actually this did happen, and like Noah's Ark was right here. I mean,
in Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in Tennessee.
I'm definitely like very much simplifying that. But
they were looking for artifacts.
Yeah, so it was this archaeological period. This whole
what year?
This was a trend. So this would have been in the early 1900s.
Okay.
Right.
So right after.
So the higher criticism.
They were like, wait a minute, these ladies, we got to stamp them down.
Yes.
I know they're wrong.
So they did a bunch of stuff to debunk or diffuse the higher criticism. However, later, and these are very general, again, check the show notes, but then later even those things were debunked. A lot of this like archaeological proof.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
They were like, this is not the face of Jesus on this cloth. Yeah. Peeps.
Like,
although I think that still exists, doesn't it?
I hope
Doesn't
so.
someone have that? I just, you know what my favorite book about Jesus was written by Anne Rice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's called Jesus. It was a series. Really great books. And I love Anne Rice.
Vampire Gal?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was obsessed
I've seen her house in New Orleans.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Interview with a Vampire. So when she came out with these books on Jesus, because she became religious in her old age. Did you know that?
She did?
She did. And and I know how she researched things because I read about her as an author because I was like, how'd she write these books? Because that's the kind of person I am. But she would do like crazy research and she would sit upstairs and like not talk to people for days and just like read. Right. So I was like,
we'd
this
get
is
along
going to
with
be
her so well.
I would too. And, but yeah, she wrote the series on Jesus. It was really well done.
So, and then speaking of other books, so the last part of this, Frances talks about...
It wasn't the Kodachrome Bible that I said
But I love
week.
that you said it and I thought of you. So she talks about these other... She said, what is known as higher criticism to clear away the clouds of superstition, which have enveloped the Bible.
The church, the Bible.
The church
yes.
and the Bible. And she brings up the polychrome Bible.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I don't know if that's ever been finished. We'll check on that.
I wonder.
I mean, it probably has. It's been 100 years. How long does it take? No.
Well, who knows? What if they stopped it? What if so it began in 1890. It'll probably not be completed before 1900.
Yeah, and different. So it's the word meaning the different colors in which the text, the notes, the dates, and translations are printed for the sake of simplifying matters.
To make it easier to read. I don't think they would have wanted us to have that. Because they do keep saying, like, there are gems in this book. There's gems that people should live by.
Yes.
But they're covered up by so much misinformation.
Yeah, there's actually, that's what this
There's some
Kabbalah
great
chapter
things. Yeah.
shows. Is they're like, so this convinces me even more that there is purposeful misinformation in the translations, which we are. I mean, I guess we did just spend the last 16
and they were
episodes
hoping because
talking about
people were doing this higher criticism.
Mm-hmm.
The other book, The Bible and the Child, went over and kind of how to. It wasn't for a child to read. It was how should you introduce the Bible to your child. An English writer outside of the Orthodox pale says, quote, "It is one of the most extraordinary books published in the English language. It is small, but it is just the turning scale to the side of common sense in matters religious. The church has at last taken a step in the right direction. We cannot expect it to set off at a gallop, but it is fairly ambling along in its comfortable palfrey." And then, but
I love that word.
Yeah, I wish
comfortable pelfrey.
I wish they would have galloped though.
I know you can gallop. And this is so she's talking about it's a
The
book.
Bible?
It's called The Bible and the Child, and the 8 contributors are headed by Canon F.W. Farrar of England. We got to look that up.
Oh.
I mean, we need to get a copy. What'd you find out?
Well, I just looked him up. Guess what? He was born in India. So if you didn't know, India was under British rule for like ever. Like many areas in India are very European. Like the Himalayas are like basically Europe in the mountains because that they were missing their climate and they went up there and built places like Landor and places like that. But he was born in Bombay, but moved to England, and he was a writer. But he wrote about, he even wrote his Life of Christ, The Life of Christ, 1874, and it was really popular. So he's a very popular guy. And it ran through 30 editions.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
And then he became the canon of Westminster Abbey and then an archdeacon.
And so what is canon?
So canon is... basically, he's the head of the church.
Okay.
Yeah, in Westminster Abbey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And here in Frances is talking about, this is where it's like she winds up talking about how higher criticism, and these lofty goals of how we're going to gallop forward and the changes are going to be made. And Canon Farrar says that the manner in which the higher criticism has progressed, quote, is exactly analogous to the way in which the truths of astronomy and geology have triumphed over universal opposition. They were once anathematized as infidel. They are now accepted as axiomatic.
Isn't that great? Unquestionable.
Unquestionable.
Although, in 2025,
I know.
we have again slid back, and sadly, astronomy and geology are not so axiomatic across the board, which is...
And if you look
a
at
little unnerving.
That's why I got such a thing about the term common sense. And that is what, again, if you look at the extreme right, they will take a hold of that term, and it really is, it's like common sense for who? But whereas this higher criticism is like, we're trying to apply these common sense life things through. By the way, there's like a fruit fly in here. It's fine. Did you see it? I'm like,
I can't see it.
Oh, that's even better if you're like, sure.
Sarah's very into that. She's just wiping the spirits around.
And she
her
brings
face.
up free thought and free criticism, and the Victorian era is so awesome, and that's why I won't read the last paragraph here is, but I won't.
Wait, don't read the last, because him saying that. And saying, oh, obviously, we're progressing, and this is why we need this book for the children, because there is this higher criticism. It all makes sense, right?
Right. That
we got to this point, and it's time to evolve, basically. And then, because the way that FEB writes it, she says, when an official of the Church of England of the high standing of Canon Farrar comes out so boldly in the interest of free thought and free criticism on the lines hereto held to be too sacred for human reason to cross, it is one of the, quote, sign of the times and a most hopeful one for the future. And I just put a sad face.
I put, wah, what changed? Question mark, question mark. Yes.
I feel sad.
I know, and you see, and then the next paragraph, she said, and now that we are coming to understand the Bible better than to worship it as an idol, it will gradually be lifted from the shadows and the superstitions of an age when, as fetish, same thing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Old English fetish. Oh, I like that. Incorporate that freely. As fetish, it was exalted above reason and placed where a spiritually enlightened people can see it in its true light. A book in which many a bright jewel has been buried under some rubbish. Perhaps as well as under many symbolisms and mystic language, a book which is not above the application of reason and
common sense.
How things have changed.
But maybe it's like too much, though, knowledge, like that in the future progression does like really like slingshot.
I think so.
Us like into like I said, peace and happiness.
So Frances Ellen Burr, she was a writer. I have looked for some of her other work because I'm like, I really loved this whole piece. So hopefully those of you that have the book, check it out. And it just makes me ache this last paragraph, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm telling you. I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to cry.
Because there was so much promise in this book. So much hope and like they were on the precipice of a great awakening.
Yes. We're precipicing right now. Which way it'll go, I don't know. But I think, it is, you know what, though? It is something, we joke about it. They wrote this 130 years ago.
Yeah.
I know we're not the only ladies talking about it.
We're not,
so
no.
It does stand, it's here.
We are dangling.
We're dangling.
We could go either way.
Yep. So she writes, we are nearing the close of a remarkable century, the last half of which, and especially the last quarter, has been crowded with discoveries, some of them startling in their approximation to the inner or occult world, a world in which women has
a
potent sway. The close of this century has long been pointed to by scholars, by writers, and by prophets, within the church and out of it, as the close of the old dispensation and the opening of a new one. And in the view of the rapid steps in which we are taking in these latter years, we can almost feel the breath of the new cycle fan our cheeks as we watch the deepening hues of the breaking dawn. Damn, girl, that is bold.
I want to be on the breaking dawn.
We're on the breaking dawn. Let's just declare it.
This is it. We will not go back.
I love this too. And so importantly, the occult world, a world in which women have potent sway.
Potent sway.
The occult world is where women hold sway because we do have the unseen power.
We do. And I definitely think the feminine has more, we sense things in our inner, we're more open to the spiritual, to the things that can't be seen, right?
Absolutely.
Emotions, we feel things, maybe too much, but
Well, our bodies literally create humans from we don't know where.
Yeah.
We don't know where.
We don't know.
From Elohim, I don't know, whatever.
Don't know. Yeah.
And so we're the literal body pathways between the unseen and then the physical world.
Yes.
However, it doesn't have to be women have that, so we're superior. It's more we cannot be separate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We cannot do a hierarchy of men are better because they can beat people up, or women are better because they can. It's no, we need both.
We have to be together. It makes the whole thing work.
After all of this, it is going to be hard to transition from all this esoterica.
I know, because
occultism.
I actually really like this.
I did too.
I'm into it.
I know.
Dang, actually, this is what I've been needing in my life.
Yes. We may, you know what? It's our podcast. We can keep going. But
we're going to stay in the Kabbalah.
We're not going to
no.
That would be a whatever.
Bonus.
We'll talk about that later.
Bonus Kabbalah.
Bonus, TikTok, whatever. So it's going to be hard to transition from all this esoterica and occultism and back to planet Earth or planet New Testament anyway.
Yeah, right.
Next week. We believe in our Victorian feminists' ability to bring sass and magic to their analysis. Magical sass. Anyway, it's a good thing. The New Testament is going to be good, really good. I believe we'll be kicking it off with the book of Matthew.
Mm-hmm. We'll be sure to pack up the show notes this week with all of the different sources we mentioned. As always and forever, we'd love to hear from you. Check the episode description for how to reach out to us through text or voicemail.
Yes. And we've got a fun Name That Victorian Feminist by Her Initials co-host quiz on TikTok and YouTube.
So good.
We are so fun.
We are fun.
In case you can't tell.
Join us.
Yeah. A great way to resist fascism is to support independent media. So comment, subscribe, and share this podcast liberally.
Just share it out all the time. Sometimes twice a day.
That's what we recommend.
Well, I do. It's better than a vitamin. Sharing podcasts, helping the artist community. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week here on the tastiest podcast of 2025, Biting all the apples.